The next product we're going to review today is Poly from Poly Insurance. Our review committee nicknamed this product as a recipient of the No-Brainer Award because as we looked at dealers' F&I processes in the US, they're very different than, well, what we might see in Europe. Most car dealers, when they sell a car in Europe, include insurance as part of the whole transaction, and insurance normally switches when a car is bought or sold. Not so much here in the United States, but years ago I did see the power of a dealership in Reno, Nevada that integrated an all-state insurance desk right in their showroom. They became one of the largest agents in the country. Now, fast forward to today, Poly has made it easy for dealers to offer car insurance as part of the F&I process. Why is it a no-brainer? Well, it adds additional profit to the deal for the dealer. It's convenient for the consumer. You have an opportunity to potentially save the consumer money, which then can be applied for F&I products that maybe they didn't think they could afford. With around-the-clock support coverage for their product, Poly is really making inroads into the dealer F&I process and with outstanding results. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at the video overview provided by Poly Insurance on how they're revolutionizing the sales process by injecting insurance choice into the transaction.
All right, today we're going to talk about some of the new things that Poly's doing in 2023, leading up to NADA in Dallas this year. We're really excited about some of the new things that are going on. My name is Mike DeChico. I'm relatively new to the company. I've been here about 6 months or so, but really this company's doing some transformational things in automotive, which is kind of my jam. So I'm really excited to be here and talking to you guys about this. Now, what we're talking about here on this slide is really nothing new to anybody. However, it's important to point out that consumer buying power has really kind of been on the decline with rising APRs and vehicle prices. However, vehicle prices are starting to kind of stabilize, which we all understand. However, what we're seeing is that consumers are still under a lot of financial pressure, inflation and all the other things that are happening in our current economy. So what they have is less buying power to purchase either higher trim level vehicles or additional F&I products when they're transacting on a new vehicle. And so what we're trying to focus on here at Poly is helping dealers understand that since insurance is part of every single deal, it's something that most dealers outside of the 1,700 that are working with Poly right now are not monetizing, which is interesting, right? Because we're putting lots of time and energy and people into products like etch and accessories and key replacement and paint and fab and prepaid maintenance and all this other stuff that's being sold in F&I. However, those are all optional products that we put time and energy into. Insurance is compulsory, yet we're not monetizing it, or the vast majority of dealers are not monetizing it. And so it's important to think about how do we put those two things together. And that's why our slogan is "Get It Together" this year is, how do we get insurance and a vehicle purchase put together in the same thing? They should be happening at the same time. It only makes sense. It's a perfect inflection point for when consumers should be thinking about changing their insurance is when they're buying a new vehicle. And interestingly enough, it's a win-win for everyone, right? So if the consumer realizes savings on insurance, they'll oftentimes reinvest those savings into either more purchasing power for the vehicle itself, or what we've found is those savings are often put back into additional F&I products that they might not have been able to afford otherwise because of rising APRs and those other things, right? So what we see is about when somebody purchases insurance through Poly, we see that those people spend about $538 more on F&I products, which is really, really neat because they're translating those savings into additional profit for the dealership, which is really, really cool. And the reason why it's really important to think about insurance right now is because it drives very long-term stable revenue growth, right? So over time, you'll be able to see your book of business on insurance continue to grow and grow and grow. And one of the things that's really nice about long-term stable revenue is that it's not necessarily affected by macroeconomic factors like everything else is. And so it's really interesting to see that dealers are beginning to adopt this and understand that long-term stable revenue growth is a really great way to combat instability and volatility that likely will continue to come for us. And there'll be some other COVID coming along, COVID 20 or something eventually. But in any event, it's important to start thinking about the significant amount of revenue that's on the table for dealers with pretty much no effort whatsoever that they can capture. So why would you want to do this with Poly? Well, because what we want to do is walk 100% of your customers through what we like to call the gift shop, right? So if you've been to a museum, you got to walk through the gift shop to get out of there, and you're going to end up buying your kid a dinosaur. Well, the idea here is that we're doing the same thing through Poly. So how do we embed insurance in every transaction in a dealership? And how do we help our customers generate as much profit as possible across a varying scope of products in F&I, but insurance is our driving thing. So how do we do this? Well, we integrate with dealers' technology stack. So what we're going to do is work with you to look at what are the signals in your process that make the most sense to fire an insurance-based message. So what we find is we integrate with our dealers' technology stack, and we engage 100% of your customers digitally. One of the things that we're rolling out this year is a digitized insurance verification process. So right now, insurance verification could be, as simple as going out to the customer's vehicle and grabbing an insurance card and stapling it to the deal jacket. But that has to happen in every single deal. So let's figure out, how do we do this in a digital way, right? Like, let's get folks to say, hey, you know what? We just changed your deal status in, let's say, VIN Solutions, and now that fires off a text message to the customer. The customer opens up that text message, and they're presented with, hey, you can stay with your current carrier. Let's verify your insurance to keep the deal going. That's the next step here at ABC Motors. Or if it's time for you to maybe think about looking at some quotes, we can probably save you some money on insurance as well. Because at ABC Motors, we like to help our customers save money, not just on their vehicles, but also on the things that go with it. So insurance verification for us is a new thing that we're rolling out this year. And what happens is we work down the funnel, we start to see that if we engage all the customers digitally, we work with them on insurance verification and get quotes in front of them, oftentimes we'll be able to bind those customers and sell them a policy where the dealer and the salesperson themselves are making money. And that happens at the point of sale. So at the point of sale, we see a pretty significant conversion rate into policy sales. What's interesting, though, is because we're connected to the dealer's data and we've done the insurance verification, now we know some really neat things about that customer that we can use for post-purchase conversion. So there's two key inflection points that we'll talk about for post-purchase conversion. But when we talk about better brands, better processes, better technology, we're spending a tremendous amount of money and time and effort to get the Poly brand out in front of consumers and into dealerships. And we've got some of the best nationally known carriers out there in the space. And so as your consumers might not be as familiar with Poly right now, they are certainly very familiar with all of our insurance carriers. And when you have a tremendous amount of carriers competing over the business and the customer has choice, what that does is it helps breed competition and lower rates. So it's important to have the right brands in the mix. So what do we do with automation? So I mentioned earlier that we can automate a lot of this. So if a dealer doesn't want to put any time or energy into insurance sales at all, we can still help them sell insurance. So what we do is we engage 100% of your customers at the right point in the process. And we integrate with CRM tools, DMS tools, desking, F&I, digital retailing to ensure that the customer is getting the right message about their insurance at the right time during your process. And I mentioned insurance verification, and this is a neat thing that we're rolling out this year. So every single deal has to have insurance. We're integrated with the dealer's technology solution, so we can pull in all of the data directly into the Poly application, where it used to be where our salespeople in the store would have to go through, 18 or 20 steps to get all the customer information in there before they could connect them with an agent. We've automated this through technology, so we can push all that data into the fields. And then what we do is we give the customer the ability to say, okay, do you want to continue with your current carrier and verify your insurance, or would you like to see some additional quotes through Poly? Now, if this is a fantastic way for salespeople to actually get paid on just connecting somebody with Poly, even if they don't purchase a policy. So the salesperson engagement goes even deeper. So as an example, since we're paying salespeople on connecting with agents and getting quotes, we want to make sure that those salespeople understand when somebody's been through the process. So we'll notify them that say, hey, your customer received some quotes. If you get them to connect and speak with an agent, that's worth $25 to you. So what we tend to see there is we're incentivizing the right behavior. We get them those quotes in front of that person, get them to talk to an agent, potentially save that customer some money, which is a really fantastic experience both for the dealership and for the customer. So those two key inflection points that we talked about, the first one is at the point of sale. It absolutely makes sense to put together your vehicle purchase with your insurance purchase. However, if that doesn't happen, what's neat about doing insurance verification in a digital format is that we also get all of the information about what vehicles the customer's driving, how much they're paying for their insurance, and more importantly, when it renews. And what that does is it gives us the ability to reach out to that customer, that dealership's customer, and say, hey, you're going to be up for renewal in 2 weeks. Let's give you some quotes on your insurance. And that's really fantastic because we're reaching out to that customer at the right point in time to potentially get them to buy a different insurance policy, which the dealer is going to make money on. So all well and good and a win-win for everyone. So what we're also focused on is making sure that customers can buy direct from us, which is fantastic. We want to make sure that they can go and they can direct bind and buy online. And we understand how important support is. It's one of those things that it's critical, mission critical for Poly to make sure that we've got folks that really understand your business and are bilingual and are working when you're open. So our wait times are infinitesimal, and when folks call in, they're going to get with somebody right away, and they're going to get the information that they need. And we've also rolled out a whole new support model in 2023. So working with our partners in F&I, we've got some of the biggest players in the space that are bought into the Poly process and insurance as a key part of F&I. And so what we've done is we've tried to create a support model that makes the most sense for the dealer. So we have a performance manager, which is really understanding all of the users. The users we call users are the salespeople in the store, and how well are they doing at converting customers through the Poly funnel. We also have somebody in-house that's assigned to every store for understanding the dealer's book of insurance business, how to analyze it and look for opportunities. And then we have zone vice presidents that oversee all of accounts in a zone and are able to provide guidance across performance management and insurance as well. Some of the other things that we're rolling out this year are a really robust analytics platform. We've really kind of put the time and effort into understanding and investing in the fact that if we can't tell a story about how a dealer can make money, then it's difficult for us to get them to move forward. And one of the things that we're really focused on right now is getting dealers to understand how lucrative insurance really can be for them. So we want to show opportunity costs and missed opportunity on what you could have been making, and get the dealers to understand that, hey, with little to no effort, you can really generate some additional revenue. And then also we need to make sure that we're providing the in-store marketing assets that reinforce the brand with consumers. So those consumers can say, hey, I see the Poly brand, I just got the text message and I'm ready to go. So we work with over 1,700 dealers. We've generated $100 million plus in buying power. That's savings that we've been able to generate for dealer customers that they're reinvesting on average at $538 per transaction into F&I products. So really, really cool to see that. That's our entire presentation. So thanks so much. And we're looking forward to talking to as many dealers as we can and seeing all kinds of smiling faces at NADA in Dallas this year. Thanks, guys.
I hope you can see how Poly is going to be a staple for dealership F&I operations with their integrations into dealer F&I menuing systems, integration into digital retailing platforms. It's going to be more and more common to see insurance offered as part of the car purchasing experience, and I think that's good news for dealers and for consumers. If dealers would like some more information on how Poly can transform their retail operations, just visit their website and book an appointment today.